going to get better and better. It's assured with this much faith. That's how much God loves you. That's the power He has to give you. That's what His will for you is. That's what He wants for you. He's rooting for us all. And we're hated because of that by evil men that they know they're not going to pass the smell test. What their belief system is not going to hold water. Their philosophies, their credos are based on pseudoscience. They're madmen, and they're surrendering. They've given up their salvation, their soul, their conscience. They've sold it out for this little wisp of time. That's you try to make sense out of that. I can't. So let's all ask ourselves, what's really bugging us? Write a list of all the organic stuff that bugs you. Okay, that's good, but then the other stuff that's really driving you to be crazy. When you see you can't divorce yourself, you can't separate yourself from your fellow human being who you know is suffering needlessly, unnecessarily, absolute terms, that it's either necessary or it's not. And if he's being deprived of enough financial resources to exist, to survive, that's unnecessary human suffering. Okay? There's no equivocation. That's an incontrovertible, irrefutable fact. And God's going to hold you accountable if you rationalize that. If somehow in your sick, twisted, delusional mind, you justify that. So just remember that whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of these, and the way you think or fail to think about the least of these, you do or fail to do for God, for Jesus Christ Himself. It's as simple as that. It starts in our mind, our hearts, drive our mind, our thinking, our belief system, and then it'll come out our mouths. We'll espouse this stuff. And then our behavior, of course, it's all tied in. So God knows, just like Santa Claus, if you've been good or if you've been bad. And, if I can snatch some people while they were on their way and they said, wait a minute, this guy is starting to make sense to me. And I don't want to be evil. I want to go to a better world. So all you have to do is relinquish this one, renounce it. And if God calls on you, say, hey, you know what, get rid of some of this wealth. Do something myself. If I can help end desperate poverty in this land, that's what I want to do. Not for the fame or fortune, the glory here. I want to just please God. I want to go to a better place. I want to prove to Him I want to go there. I want to love my fellow man and prove I do. That means I must care for my fellow man. That's it. How else? You can't love and not care. And if you've got the means, if you've got the wherewithal, the power in this world, the money, right, then God's going to hold you accountable more than the others that don't have that power. You can't expect the poor to do it. Like, who's going to pick up the tab in the restaurant? The richest family member. Would it make sense to make the poorest family member keep picking up the tab? But yet that's what they're doing in this realm. Right now, that's the way it is. And it's sick and twisted. Anyhow, I'm going to get on to some recent current events, my friends. I meant to say and talking points. But, I mentioned the woman and, how that's God. Well, listen, always remember she's not God. And she doesn't deserve prayer. She knows not from whence she came or where she's going to. She's just human, too. But you praise God. You thank God. I mean, I just love being a man. I mean, I've enjoyed my whole life being a man so much for one reason. So that I could just enjoy the enthralling beauty of the female. I mean, it's God's finest work. His crowning glory is the woman. And the way He made her so utterly enticing, alluring, to the point of being irresistible to the man. He wants a wife. He wants to be adjoined, married to that woman. It's so natural. It's the command from God. It's not good for man to be alone. God is too. The Almighty Creator God, that's the nature of God, is male and female. So it's a natural, pure thing. Of course, you want to give your affection. A man wants to give, right? He's got a lot to give you, right, ladies? You like that, don't you? Okay, and it's a beautiful reciprocal thing, and he really enjoys you. He revels in you. He relishes you, okay? He savors you, and you make him explode with ecstasy and joy, and it's such a godly, beautiful thing, okay? And who did it? Who did all this? God did it. He said, go forth, be fruitful, and multiply. And look how beautiful He made it. We're all conceived out of ecstasy from the heart and mind of God. We are His children. We're super special. We don't go by mere instincts like all the other creatures. We think for ourselves, and we have We're boundless. There's nothing we can't do, nothing we can't accomplish if God says it's good and okay. And that's what he wants for his children. He wants the best forever. That's what's logical. That's what makes sense. It's intellectual. It holds water, and he has to be. His teachings have to be as clear as light of day, clear and easy, like a child. Jesus said, "Let the children come to me; they can understand. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings comes wisdom." Kids understand this stuff, and unless we be like those little children, we will not enter the kingdom of heaven. We have to have a pure heart, as pure as possible, and we have to confess when we fail, and we have to admit, okay, but we're all money lovers, but we can also hate money too and get it, be born again at the same time. Say, I got to deal with this. I'm stuck on this ship of fools. I got no exemption. Okay, I have to pay a cost of living. I don't get a waiver here. I don't get to opt out. I have to use money to survive like everybody else, and God knows it. And to that extent, we can use this stuff in the meantime, but it's all temporary. We got to see it like that. What we really want is God's will to be accomplished on earth as it is in heaven, the Lord's prayer. And there can't be any form of money at all. Look at how it corrupts our hearts and minds. Look what it's done to us through the ages. Somehow God has given you the ability, and me, to imagine that world. And that's what we're trying to get to, gradually get there. Doesn't matter, doesn't need to be jarring and traumatic. But that's what's happening. It is jarring and traumatic when we realize these things. That we got to get off the junk, man. We're all freaked out. We're all like under the influence of Satan. So we're all demon possessed to some degree in that respect. We're all struggling, but we can be very grateful that God understands. He knows, and he's with us, and he's going to see us through it. And we know, that what we're looking for, you got to know what you're looking for, right, in order to get it. So imagine that perfect world. Anything at all that comes up that bugs you, write it down. And then say, God, show me an answer to this, because I don't think there's an answer to this. He'll show you. Remember, this is a God that laid out the universe, all the galaxies within the universe, all the solar systems in the universe, in the galaxies, all the habitable planets in the solar systems. Okay, this God that could do anything. Okay, so if you can imagine it, believe me, he can manifest it. And it starts in your heart and mind. And then you share it with others. You empower others with the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. We can have that world. But we've got to confront these evil men in this world. We've got to parent them. And they're screaming and crying. I mean, they need help. They know that they're bleeding out, man, because it's all being turned on them. In this end of the age, the tables are being turned. It's hitting the fan. Okay? They've hit the barbed wire. They know they're trapped. They know it's heaven or hell. And they know it's traumatic for these people. There's a lot of people that are going to get freaked out. It's going to get really hot in the kitchen because God's going to keep turning up the heat. He's going to, like a refiner's fire, he's going to separate the wicked from the righteous, okay, like silver, and burning the dross out of it. And all of those that didn't make the pure silver because your hearts weren't right, you didn't go to God, say, God, you're going to need to sustain me through this storm, through this fire. Okay, because, just make sure you give me right values. If I'm wrong about something, give me the right beliefs, the right thinking about this, the right opinion to have about this. And he'll do it, I promise you. He's done it for me, and he's sustained me my whole life, and I have no reason to believe he won't continue to sustain me and love me and empower me and bless me, and so that I can go forth and bless others as best as I can and try to comfort others, encourage others in a time when I feel like I need so much encouragement and blessing and comfort. But I've got to give it out because I know, and we all know, that somebody else out there is having a harder row to hoe than us. But we know that scientifically speaking, we are inextricably interconnected through osmosis. Okay, that's it. It's a fail-safe God built in. You understand how this works? Like a default position. It's called our conscience. And we cannot. We can try to deny our conscience. Maybe that's nice in theory, this prescribing ignorance is bliss philosophy. But in the end of the day, what's it going to get us? Okay, it's not a pleasant place, man. I don't want to be stuck down there with these elitist hypocrite freaks, man. I don't want you to be, or your family, or anybody else. I want only the best for everyone. I want everybody Okay, at least. If everybody had at least as much stuff as I have, okay, at least the level of prosperity, and people that looked into my life, what a joke. You see where that guy lives. I mean, he's poverty stricken. He's talking about being prosperous. Well, my friends, it's all relative. God knows what I'm thinking. He knows I'm a spoiled brat. Okay, and it's all relative compared to some poor bastard that's going to perhaps die out in the cold tonight. Not a criminal. If he was a criminal, he'd be safely ensconced behind bars with 3 hots and a cot at a cost of $50,000, $100,000 a year per inmate per year. But yet we give more help to those criminals than we do to these people that are just Jesus Christ out on the street. We judge them, junks. Oh, they're lazy, low lives. Get a job, buddy. So, yeah, I don't want to be better than the least of men. That's Jesus Christ we're talking about, and I don't think you want to be. If you're in your right mind, and God will get you there if you're not. Okay, because He loves you as much as He loves anybody. We're His precious treasure. We're what it's all about. Every one of us. Doesn't matter how many of us there are. God deals in numbers. He's the master mathematician. He's a master engineer. He's a master scientist. He's a master at everything. Numbers don't mean anything if they don't mean anything to us. Hey, He's generous. He owns the entire universe. Talk about real estate. Okay, and what does He want to endow us with? His children. What does He want to bless us with? If you're a parent, you own the whole freaking universe. Wouldn't you want to give it to your kids? Let them know your nature, your character, how much you love them, how much you want them blessed, how generous you are, all good things. You're the source of every good characteristic, attribute that we can imagine. Yes, of course you do. Everything makes sense and it's logical in that realm, in the heart and mind and spirit of God, and what He wants to share with us, and what He wants to empower us with, and what He wants us to go forth and therefore empower other children with. We are His precious treasure. You are. I am. We all are. We're equally beloved, so we're equal in that sense. It all makes perfect sense. People being freaked out about their jobs bugs me. I don't like that at all. And it's picking on people. The people in the food service industry really got hit hard, and it pisses me off. But, you remember South Park and Cartman? Cartman, I think he's one of my favorite. Butterbean was pretty cute. That's his name, Butters. But, remember Cartman saying, screw you guys, I'm going home. Well, that should be the attitude. You take this job and shove it. It's a good American attitude, right? Being a bit cocky, right? That's the way it should be. We know what's most valuable in society. In a capitalist society, you can sit on a mountain of capital, but without the workers, nothing gets done. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. We had a shark attack that killed a young guy. I guess he was 26 years old, if I'm right about that, if I remember correctly, down in Manresa. I know that area well, Rio Del Mar and La Salva Beach area. I never surfed in that area, but I did a lot of surfing in Santa Cruz. The city limits mostly. There's never been a shark attack in all of recorded history, okay, as far as I know. You can look it up. But in the city limits of Santa Cruz, which is that's several miles we're talking about, shoreline there. There's never been a shark attack. A lot of seals in there and a lot of dolphins too. And the dolphins can kick the sharks' butts for the most part. So even the big great whites. And there's orcas out there. There's whales. A lot of stuff going on. That's the Monterey Bay Sanctuary out there. So that's really sucks. I would hate that. I've always been leery of that surfing because the water is murky when you're surfing out there, and you get this upwelling all the time. So you always worry about that stuff. But you do if you really want to surf, then you take that chance and get out there. But I'm sorry to his family. It sucks, and I'm not sure I want to die that way. But hey, like they say, crap happens. To any of us. That's an organic suffering that's across the board. At least for the guys that go out in the water, it is. We've been having weird weather here. Hey, just a week ago, it was in the mid 90s. In April, a couple weeks, less in April. And now we're freezing our behinds off in the middle of May. It's totally bizarre world. Never seen it before in my life. I think it's from all that chemtrailing, weather modification, geoengineering program they got going on. There's coronavirus, the meat processing plants, thousands. There seems to be some connection there, and in the White House too. And a lot of famous people getting this, like Tom Hanks and his wife. It's weird. I don't know what's going on. I kind of believe what Governor Newsom said, that he thinks half the Californians will get it, which translates to me 100%, which means for most people, like they say, the experts already said a long time ago, for a lot of people it'd be just like a mild cold. So, go figure. I mean, why should we all be freaked out about this thing? I think it's goofy. I don't know everything. I know that it's more lethal, apparently. I mean, over 80,000 people dead in America in a few